Hey, I want to welcome you to Real Talk with Pastor Troy, and it's a great day to be alive. And I just want to, this is going to be a good one. I just promise you right now. You know, we get on here every week, and we spend a little time talking raw about stuff. And today I have one of my heroes in the faith, my heroes from India. He's not in India, but he resides from India. Dr. Sam Chan. Dr. Chan has been a part of my wife and I's life for a long time. I don't know how many years has it been since, probably what, 8-9 years? Is that about right?
At least.
At least he's on our board of our church, and he's like, he can write books like I can lift weights. I mean, the guy can write a book every week, it seems like. How many books have you written now? Like 12, 13 books, 15 books?
I am writing my 21st right now.
21st book. Come on, man. You make us look like I just finished my first book and it took me like a year. It took me like 3 years to write it. And you're pumping them out like nobody's business. Dr. Chan is a business consultant, a leadership consultant. He doesn't just help people in the ministry realm. He helps people in all different areas, arenas, colleges, all around the world. And today, what I thought we would discuss is, Dr. Chan, we have been in probably 4 months, almost 5 months of the weirdest time I think I've been alive, and I'm just curious, how has this pandemic, what now we're leading into all the injustice stuff that's been happening, how's it affected you and what you do?
Well, anybody who knows anything about me knows that I'm in a different place usually every second day. So before all this happened, I was on at least 4, sometimes 6 or more flights a week. So, airports were my second home. Airplanes was my office. Lounges. That's what I did. So I traveled. That's what I did. So as soon as it happened, I can tell you my last airplane ride was March the 12th.
Wow.
And I normally am on about 175 to 190 flights a year.
How many miles a year do you travel? Just curious.
That's a depressing question. Yeah, I've been back to the moon and back many times. Are you
kidding? Wow.
So in the middle of all of that, things just shut down. I mean, it was not like they tapered off. They just shut down. So when they shut down, my business plan, I make most of my living consulting, but a good chunk of my income also comes from speaking.
Yeah.
Traveling. So immediately I had a major corporate event in Dubai that got canceled, New Zealand. I had 2 trips to UK, Bogota, Colombia, not counting, almost once or twice a week somewhere in the United States, speaking on some platform. And so my speaking engagements just kind of shut down.
Right.
As I'm talking to you in mid-June, my calendar is totally clear for travel till the end of August. So it has affected me in the sense of my speaking income. Now, many of those, Pastor Troy, pivoted and created an online experience, and they paid me for that. And that was very kind of them to do that. And so all that is going on. But you asked me how that affected me. It has not affected my consulting component of my business at all. It has affected my speaking business. But just like you, I'm working more than I ever have.
Yeah.
It's like there's not enough hours in the day to do everything you need to do. So
have you felt, Dr. Chan, that you have had to be more creative in how you consult in leadership? And I want to talk more about the leadership component of it. I just wanted to, how have you changed in your approach to helping people now?
Well, first of all, when you're not sitting face to face with a person, you cannot read the nuances.
Mm-hmm.
Every communicator knows that over 80% of our communication is body language.
Yeah.
So even in Zoom, as I'm looking at you, I'm just seeing your shoulders up, but I'm not seeing your hands fidgeting. I don't see you, I just don't see you.
Right.
And so that takes away a big portion of our communication. The second thing is dealing with leaders. All leaders are ADD, ADHD, whatever alphabet, put over there. So it is hard enough to work with high-level leaders face-to-face, 3 feet away. And now you are zooming and the phone is going off on this side. There's a message popping up on this side. And so working through all the distractions while you're talking about important things. However, I also discovered that leaders were very open to pivoting very quickly to whatever medium is available. And so as soon as the reality hit, they did not fight the reality, did not mourn the past, but just jumped right into that. So it's not been difficult. I've had to adjust, they've had to adjust. So I think both sides have adjusted well to that. And this is not a bad way to do things.
That's good. And it's a good thing you can't see me, because usually on Zoom calls, I don't wear pants. So we're I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. So, in your lifetime, have you ever seen anything in anything like this before?
Nothing like this. Nothing that goes from 100 miles an hour to 0 miles an hour. Nothing that takes the economy down that quickly. Nothing that shuts business down that quickly. I live in Atlanta. The world's busiest airport is in Atlanta, and became a ghost town. A ghost town. I have never seen the psyche of the world. I'm talking about global, because I'm constantly in touch with, as you know, I've got clients all over the world. So I'm talking to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India, Nigeria, Brazil. I'm talking to people all the time. And it is not just an American phenomenon. This is a global phenomenon, and in every sense of the word. And it has gripped the world as to helplessness, and in some cases even hopelessness. And that is why it's so important for believers and the church to know that God is still on the throne.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good reminder. We have to always remember who is actually in control and who's leading, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So let me ask you this. How have you seen this affect leadership and people, in how they're processing either their business, their ministry? What are some of the, two questions, what are some of the key questions that people are asking you right off the bat, or have been asking you, that you're having to field?
I think the first question that people want to know is what's next? What's going to happen next? And I would say no one has an answer to that, because all we're going to do is take today's realities and extrapolate that into the future. But we also know that today's realities are going to change by the end of today. So whatever answer that comes out is not. So what I'm really finding out that leaders are finding is who are their real leaders, because they found out that people who are up here are obsolete. The decision makers and decision making, their processes are not working anymore. They also discovered that new leaders were emerging, new leaders who had solutions, new leaders who had ideas, new leaders who had creativity, new leaders who had innovation and entrepreneurial way of thinking. And the other thing that I've noticed, the big thing I've noticed, is decision-making rooms have changed, in the sense of, it used to be the executive team made some decisions over here, and down here was your media team, your graphics, your online people, and you made decisions at the executive level, and then you told these people what to do. Guess what's happening now? These people that you did not value as highly are the real drivers of what is going on. So there's been I would say, turbulence inside the leadership structure of organizations, in which decision making has changed and decision makers have changed. And when this thing does settle, however it settles, our entire way of doing church business, the way we're organized, is all going to be different, because we have realized that we don't have to wait. You can make decisions in real time. You're not trying to make a perfect decision. You're trying to make a good decision. You are not trying to get everybody's buy-in. The leaders such as you has had to make more, I would say, executive calls and decisions than ever before. You know, you get all the information, but you make that decision. So
Yeah.
the biggest changes are going to be internal, which will eventually affect the external.
That's really good. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that, those inside kind of conversations, maybe what it looks like to flip that model upside down. And, you know, those people that, you know, you didn't put a lot of emphasis on, you were kind of maybe streaming down to management wise, have now flipped into the plus, and you're asking them questions. I know I was asking my online team and you know, people that had a lot more knowledge on the video side of things, and, you know, said, hey, I need you to study Zoom and figure out every aspect of Zoom that there is. I need you to study YouTube and figure out the best way to leverage that. So let's talk specifically, if you can, about leading in crisis. What are some of the things that you, and I know we're probably, I'm guessing maybe in the middle of the third quarter right now, you know, of, you know, if you look at first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, meaning that we're kind of towards the end of this. I don't know, maybe things are going to ramp back up again is what I'm hearing on the news. Who knows what's going to happen? How have you helped leaders in the midst of this crisis? Maybe 2 or 3 things that people can put some handles on.
I think you gave a great word just 10 seconds ago when you said, who knows?
Yeah.
That's a big, those are 2 very big words that are going on in everybody's mind, church or corporate, really doesn't matter. Who
Yeah.
knows? That means that you are being asked as a leader to lead in ambiguity.
Wow.
You have no GPS.
Yeah.
Nobody has a GPS. You don't have a roadmap. Even our experts in the medical field, you know, we have doctors and epidemiologists and all the other kind of people who are telling us this, that, the other. They come. I mean, just think about the face mask controversy. You
I
should
know.
wear it.
Yeah.
It's not going to help. Well, if he wears it, is good. You wear it, and it's a kind of. I mean, no. I mean, around for at least how long as I've been alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
In different ways, but we have had more controversy about the masks.
Yeah.
So we're leading, this example, we're leading in ambiguity. And I'm discovering that leading in ambiguity is the highest form of leadership.
Mm.
And you are leading when you don't know where you are going. And so
you don't know where you are. I mean, because usually your reference point helps you to know where you're going. Is I got to know, you know, whenever you look at a map at a mall, it says you are here. Well, honestly, as a leader, I don't even know where I am sometimes.
yeah.
And
And I think what you are just saying is exactly how 100% of leaders are feeling.
Wow.
And those leaders who think they know where they're at, give 5 more hours, and whatever you think
It's
is
so
going
true.
to change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the first thing I'm learning is that there are muscles inside of us that have to make decisions that are no longer what are called data-driven decisions.
Mm.
It's not like, give me a report, give me the numbers, we will put a metrics on it, and we'll figure out what it is, and then we'll make a decision. Well, those metrics are not available to us now because there's no data. Is you're counting it differently. Churches are counting attendance 1,800 different ways.
Yeah.
You know, so some people are saying I've got 8,000 people. Some saying I got 200 people, and it could be the opposite. Who knows how you count that? You know, money. It's just all is so very, very different. So the first thing to your question is leading in ambiguity is the highest form of leadership, and that is where you realize that you are the leader. Number 2, you realize that consensus leadership is does not work right now. You also realize that appeasement is not a good strategy. You also realize that does not matter what you do, some will like you, some will not like you.
Mm-hmm.
Agree with you, some will not agree with you.
Yeah.
You will also know that there's no such thing as risk management anymore. You know, everything is risky. Everything is risky. So if you, let's talk about churches. If you reopen churches, it's risky. If you keep them closed for a long period of time, it's risky. So you just go walking through risks in there. And I think that is where it is important for teams. Let me talk to teams for a minute. that surround CEOs like you, senior pastors like you, is for you to be there to understand what the senior leader is going through, what the senior leader is experiencing, uh, and come alongside, not in some kind of an adversarial manner. Give your input, bring what you got, and then step back and let the leader lead. Because this is really not the time for you to get all emotionally entangled with your idea. So study your leader, lean into your leader, support your leader. If the leader makes a decision you don't like, go after it, make it happen. And I think those are the important things that I want to say to leaders is, because there's no surety, you make the best decision available to you at that given time. Because here's the thing you need to remember: when you're 100% sure, you're too late.
Yeah, that's right.
Train has left the station.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm praying for all the leaders, that God gives them grace and wisdom and knowledge and understanding, because you are making consequential decisions, very little information.
Yeah, I've found I have a counselor, and she's been a part of my life for a while, and I encourage any leader, especially if you're leading at a high level, to have somebody that you can talk to, that you can process your emotions, because this is an emotional time, and there are emotions. You talk about that muscle inside of you that you have to lean on, that gut, decision making process. Well, that's fatiguing to a high level. I mean, I didn't realize, my level of work was not necessarily as much, but my emotional involvement went way up high during crisis, because I felt like, and tell me if this is something that you're seeing. I felt like that, number one, I needed to be there for my team, not just as a CEO, but also I had to be there emotionally. They needed to know that I cared what they were feeling. And they also needed to know that I was like a real human being, and I was struggling with kind of how to process this to begin with. And I felt like that was a big part of something that I didn't understand in the midst of crisis. I heard somebody say recently that they need to, your team needs to hear your voice. They need to, and because there's comfort in your voice. And so can you speak to that for a minute? And then
Absolutely.
I have something else I want to ask you about studying your leader. I want to talk about that.
Absolutely. So you're absolutely right. I think our emotional drainage became so huge on every level. So if you're on Zoom call, you are drained, but the people you're talking to are drained as well.
Yeah.
And so everybody is on empty. So how do we create that thing about, I care for you, I empathize with you, I know you and your family are going through some tough times, we are as well, and yet we've got to rise to the level. And so it's not tasks now, it's making sure that the human being is healthy, the human being is feeling cared for, using your words. It feels like somebody knows what I'm going through, and then engaging them. So as I said to people, the pathway to engagement during this time is your heart, then your head, then your hands. Heart, head, hands. Feel, think, do. So leaders who jumped into do this, depleted the heart. And the heart gets depleted, it'll affect the hand. So I'm saying to leaders, how are you pumping energy into their heart? I think Wayne Cordiero in his book called Leading on Empty,
Yeah.
talks about that. I write about that in my book, Leadership Pain. But the whole thing is heart, head, hands. Heart, head, hands. And as a good leader, you pump into the heart, make rational sense, and this becomes an automatic after that.
That's great. So talk to the teams for a second, because you brought up something that I think is a challenge many times as people who are in your organization that are following you, that are working for you. You said you need to study the leader. And I think in times of crisis is a key moment, because I'm really bad at this because there are things that I do intuitively that I just kind of do because I'm a leader. You know, I know the question of are leaders born or made. I think I was born a leader, but I also have been made a leader as well. You know, that's through study and everything like that. But the truth is that sometimes I do stuff I don't realize that I'm doing it. And people ask me, well, how did you do that? And I go, I don't know. It just kind of happened. It just kind of, that's just my default mechanism, you know, like this is what I do. So can you help some team members in how to study their leader?
Absolutely. So, man, this is going to sound so self-serving. In my yeah, sorry about this. In
Well,
my
this is why I'm
second,
getting you to say it for me.
in my second last book, simply called New Thinking, New Future, I wrote about this extensively, and I have a whole appendix in the back called a pastor's user manual, a pastor's user manual.
Okay.
So when you buy a washer dryer, a user manual comes with it. When you buy a laptop, a user manual comes with it. But when you come on a team, there's no user manual for Pastor Troy Maxwell.
Yeah.
There's no user manual for your CEO. There's no user manual for your supervisor. So you've got to figure out all the way from the basics. Does he or she like text messages, Facebook, email, phone call, in person? What makes them respond the fastest? You've got to figure out how they deal with controversy. You like to figure out how they deal with you being corrected. I mean, it's just a whole list of stuff.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how you deal with their family.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so many of us know Pastor Rob Ketterling from
Yeah.
up in Minneapolis. So he's one of my clients. He's one of my clients, long time,
Right.
many years clients.
I
And
love
so
him.
I made him my guinea pig, and I said to him, I have this idea that leaders need a user's manual. So when someone comes in your team, you give that to them and say, this is who I am. This is how I think. This is how I do. This is how I respond. This is how you can come to me with a complaint. This is how I'll correct you. This is how I'll promote you, demote you, terminate you.
Mm.
You know, here's my user manual. So instead of me having to learn 80 different people, why don't you all just learn me? Because you are here because of me. So he took on that mantle and he created a user manual. He ran it through his staff and everything. So if you want to get that, it's in the back of New Thinking, New Future, a user manual. So you study your leader on purpose. How does she or he think? What is important to my leader? What adds value? What
Yeah.
them all? Uh, when I go into a meeting, what is it that they're looking for? What is their language? So I'm going to give them my bias now. The consultant, I'm going to give him a bias.
All
So
right.
what leaders started doing was they would give these assessments to all of their staff. You know, the DISC assessment or the Myers-Briggs assessment, but they would give some kind of assessment. I have nothing against assessment, but what that did was then the senior leader or the had to sit over there and say, okay, that's Susie, she's a D, or there's Larry, he's an I. That's too much work for me to have to figure out who is what. I mean,
Yeah.
instead of me having to figure out all of you, why let's make it easy? Why don't all of you just figure me out and let's do that?
That's good. I love that.
I mean that way that simplifies, because if I was on your staff, I am there to serve you and your vision.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So once I understand that, it's not like, well, Pastor Troy, you know, I'm a DI. No, I don't care. Figure me out. And
Yeah.
here's my DISC assessment. Here's my Myers-Briggs or whatever. Here is Taylor Johnson. Here is my assessment. Learn me. Because if you learn me, life is going to be easy for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm just giving my bias because I just started seeing people, pastors, leaders, CEOs leading great staffs, but they're trying to figure out, now who is she? Yeah, she's this. Why do I have to sit there in the meeting trying to figure out who she is rather
Yeah.
her figuring out who I am?
Yeah.
Because I'm the one who hired you. So
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
in the most crude terms, in the crudest terms, I can say, you work for me.
Yeah.
So figure me out.
Yeah.
Life is easy for everybody. I'm happy, you're happy, we get accomplished things that we set out to do.
That's
So
really
that's a
good.
long answer to a short question.
That's great. I think some of the stuff that you said was really good. Is you've got to you got to spend some time, and it doesn't mean that you need to settle, have a meeting with them and go, all right. No, you just got to figure it out on the job. It's like that on the job training aspect, and ask questions. Like for me, I know for me, Sam, is I don't mind somebody going, hey, why did you do that? Hey, why did you make that decision? Because I mean, we all like to talk about ourselves. We all, you know, it's like, hey, that's enough about me. What do you think about me? That's the way it is always. We always love to talk about, and I know I enjoy trying to get that out of me. And I think as somebody that worked for other pastors and worked in business, I think it's always good to try to dig into their thought processes. I was doing a performance review yesterday, and I told the young lady that I was reviewing, I said, listen, you'll never have to wonder what I'm thinking because I will tell you.
There you
So
go.
if I make a face or if I do something or if I say something, just take it at face value, because if I'm mad at you, I'm going to tell you I'm mad at you. If I'm excited about you, I'm going to tell you I'm excited about you. If I'm upset with you, I'm going to tell you I'm upset with you. And I'm not going to hold anything back. I have no reason to, because it doesn't benefit either one of us. And so very good. What's the name of that book again? I don't know if you sent me a copy of that one.
I should. New Thinking, New Future. It's in the mail.
Okay, good deal. No, I think I have a copy of it, but
Okay.
I'm reading the book by Ketterling first. I'm going to check out his thing. I'm going to do a owner's manual teaching at my next staff meeting and just go through my owner's manual. Cause I think that's a good thing to do for them to all know, okay, this is how, and some of them been with me for 15 years, but they still ask me, don't take this the wrong way, dumb questions. I'm like, what is that? That you should know that by now. 15 years, you should know me by now.
Yeah.
In that arena. So let's talk about real quick, just kind of bring this to a close. What do you think? I know this is a loaded question in two ways. One, you may not want to answer, but I still want you to give some input coming out of this, okay, leading out of this. What do you think how do you think the landscape is going to change for leaders? And what are our big takeaways from this? What are some things we can take away from this?
That's a big question, and I want to answer that. First of all, if you're a church leader and you reopen, you will not go back to the same church.
Mm.
There is no reset button. Reopen is not really, I'm calling it rechurch. That's what I'm calling it.
Wow.
Unpack
that a little bit. What you mean by that?
I don't think you're going to think the same way, because we take our leadership and our organization in the way we think. Your paradigms have shifted. People have shifted in your life. People have shifted in their own thinking. Social distancing is going to be a while before we are into total hugging again. Yeah, the way we speak to each other, everybody's language is heightened. There are many filters now. Every word becomes nuanced. There are layers of thinking. So I think what the main important thing that we have to realize is we have a few opportunities here. One opportunity is to understand that we are not trying to go back to anything. There's no going back.
That's a great thought right there. I think that's another book for you right there.
Yeah, there is no going back. It is a totally new world. It's a new world. There's no, and when we say new normal, even that implies that there'll be normalcy. There'll be a new. And as you're facing it, week after week, it's a new week. So if for example, if you open your business or you open your church, you will not open it. You will have series of openings. Every week is going to be a grand opening.
Yeah.
And every opening is going to be a different opening. You're going to open for weeks.
Mm.
and it's going to be different. So I think that's the first thing I want to say to leaders is there's no going back. You have changed, your leaders have changed, people's psyche has changed, people's expectations have changed. That's number one. Number two is I'm realizing that all the people who had reasons for not doing online church, for example, for not doing this, that, the other, because you know how we are, you know, it's not going to work for us. It's all working for everybody now. So, you know, like somebody says it is one church, many locations, every home is a location now. You know, everybody logging into the location now. So, so I think the things that were impossible have all become possible. We've also found that leaders have leaned into their communities, and the incomes have gone up for those, and increased attendance for those who are willing to do high compassion, high community. The third or fourth thing, I forget what, is to realize that you have a new set of leaders who have totally different expectations from the older leaders to lead now. Because the new set of leaders who have emerged during this time are not looking for titles, they're not looking for a job, they're not looking for any kind of hierarchy. They just got ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are not as emotionally tied to their ideas that we think. It is like, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, well, let's do that then. And they're willing to pivot. So you have new leaders, and I don't want to use the word millennials or anything like that, because I know of some older leaders who have got new thinking and some younger leaders who have old thinking. So I get that. So what I want to say is you have new leaders rising, and how are you discovering them, how you're developing them, and how you're deploying them. So let me say those three things again. How you're discovering your new leaders, because whatever that new is waiting for you will take new leaders.
Yes.
So new leaders, how you discover, develop, deploy. And finally, I want to say to you, the biggest opportunity an organization has is to ask 4 questions. Question number 1, what should I start? Question number 2, what should I stop? Question number 3, what should I suspend? And question number 4 is, what should I sustain? Wow. So let me just say 30 seconds on each one of those. Number 1 is, what do I start? You know, this is you as a human being, as a physical human being, might be in lockdown, shut down, safer at home, whatever you want to call it. But your vision is not in lockdown. Yeah. Your mission is not in lockdown. Your great ideas, your entrepreneurial things are not in lockdown. So start something. You know, during this time, I'm sure you got a copy of this. I started a magazine called Avail. Yeah. Avail magazine, you know, I'm holding it up right here. So, you know, this is a full color, 100-page magazine, and we decided to do it free.
Yeah, I'm on page like 35.
You are? Yeah. I saw that.
I wrote an article for it.
I saw that. I'd love to see you on the cover of it one day.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So if you're watching me right now, you want to get this free for the next year, every quarter, just go to availjournal.com, availjournal.com, and sign up. It's free. Availjournal.com. Anyway, I started something. Yeah. And then businesses and churches have to ask themselves, what should we stop? And here's the thing. Everybody knows what's not working. Everybody knows what's dead. Yep. Everybody knows what's on life support. It's what I call an open secret. Everybody knows.
I love that. Open secret.
Yeah. So I'm saying to organizations, stop it. This is a good time to give it a very honorable funeral. Celebrate. It was good at one time, but it's not perpetual. Take those energies and pivot them somewhere else. The third thing is, what should I suspend? These are things I need to make a decision on, but not now. I'm going to just put this aside. I do not have to decide on this right now. I will talk about this in January. I've suspended it. That way I've created margin in my brain. I'm not thinking about it, not talking about it. It is there. I will get back to it, but not right now. And number 4 is, what should I sustain? That means, what should I continue? Because once you decide that, you can put resources behind that, such as your attention, your money, your facilities, your staffing, all those kind of things. You can dig into that. So when we are talking about going where we're going, Those are the kind of thoughts that I'm consulting with on people. And of course, there are layers to that, but I just want to give people a short version of
Love
that.
it. I love it. You know, it's so funny because everything that you just said right there, we as a church have processed through.
Wow.
We, you know, this what you're on right now is something that I started. You know, we're probably going to stop a service because you know what, it just needs to have a funeral. You know, what do we suspend? We had an offering, we had to suspend it. You know, we're talking about it in the future. And what are we going to sustain? There are some things with our online presence that we're going to really amp up and sustain because it really helped us in the overall. So it's amazing to think about. Those are phenomenal questions. I'm thinking about a friend who owns a restaurant, and you know, kind of how you process that. He's having openings, reopenings. He's changed his menu like 4 times just in the last 3 or 4 months, and it's really taught him a lot. I want you just one more question, and then we'll finish. What are our big lessons we need to walk away with? What is the big lesson for a leader during this crisis, or maybe, you know, somebody you've talked to, or something that, because I mean, I know that every leader is probably going to have a different lesson, but what do you feel like is the overarching big lesson for us?
At this minute, my answer is it could change an hour from now.
Sure,
I'll give you
sure.
the answer right now. The biggest lesson I have learned for myself and for leaders I've talked to literally hundreds of leaders all over the world. And the biggest lesson is I wish I had taken better care of myself.
Mm. Wow.
So when crisis happened and it called for that emotional reserve, it called for that relational reserve, it called for that physical reserve, that I had been stronger for the marathon that was ahead of me.
Wow.
Because if I had been stronger emotionally, if I had been stronger relationally, if I had been stronger in my marriage, if I had been stronger in my physical human being, if I had been stronger financially, if I had been stronger in my organizational, if I had been stronger with the lieutenants, the executives around me, if I had been stronger in not being just the person, but the person that had other people, if I had been stronger in my ecosystem, that's a good word. If I had been stronger in my own ecosystem, then I could have brought better thinking.
Mm.
I would have had some energy and empathy to give.
Wow.
Bandwidth, maybe that's a better word.
Yeah.
I had created bandwidth. So I love what you said, that you go to a counselor on a regular basis. That's creating bandwidth.
Yeah.
You need some friends. In my book, Leadership Pain, I talk about pain partners. You need some friends who are not going to give you advice, who are not going to try to judge you, who are not trying to coach you, not trying to consult with you, who are not trying to give you ideas. They just listen to you. And it's a safe place. It's a city of refuge for you. So I would say to leaders now that while this is unprecedented in our time, we have to say to ourselves, how can I be stronger myself?
Man, that's really good.
Every leader to become strong themselves in their own ecosystem so that they can be strong in the world that they operate in.
Phenomenal. Speaking of that, you have some resources that'll help with that. I know, you know, I've been an avid student of you and what you write, and have helped me tremendously, not just in my role as a pastor, but in my role as a friend, in my role as a husband. And you are offering something right now, right? You're doing something special for people around the world.
I am. I want people to, there it is on the screen, to pay whatever you want to pay. So what are you paying for? It's the Sam Chan Leadership Institute. And what you will get for that is a book a month. It's all digitized. It's all online. You get a book a month written by me. So you get 12 books over a month, over a year's period. Then every week you will get a video that will teach that book. So book number 1, 4 videos, 1 a week, that will teach that book. So by the end of this 12-month program, you will have 12 books, over 50 videos of teaching. So what's the cost? Whatever you want to pay. It's as simple as that. So if you go to samchanleadership.com/COVID, samchanleadership.com/COVID. It'll ask you two questions. One is give us your information so we can start sending it to you right away. And number two is how much do you want to pay? You just put that in there. No questions asked. Nobody's going to send you an email back saying that's not enough. No negotiating. You just put your number in and you are in. Now, normally, we have been retailing this for years. The Sam Chan Leadership Institute has been retailed for $2,000 a year, $2,000 a year. We're not doing that. We're just saying whatever. So whatever part of the world you're in, whatever your economy allows, you can do it a one-time thing. You can do a recurring. So I can do X amount every month kind of thing, but you will get a book every month. You'll get 4 videos teaching every month, and you get a certificate at the end simply by going to samchanleadership.com/COVID. And by the way, you can share this with anybody you want to, because thousands of people are responding to this. This is my way of giving back. And thank you, Pastor Troy, for allowing me to share this resource with people. You pay whatever you want.
I love
to
that.
pay, no questions asked.
Yeah, man, that's so great, and I think it's awesome that you're able to, what you do for the community, what you do for the church. You have helped us so much, and I know this will help a lot of people. And whether you're watching this from Africa or Asia or whatever. What an amazing opportunity for you to connect with Dr. Chan and just learn from him. And four videos that's amazing. I don't even know if I can read a book a month. So I'd have to take it over a 2-year period, I think. So, hey, I want to thank you, Dr. Chan, for hanging out with us. Real talk, just giving us some ideas on leadership. Hey, listen, if you want to subscribe to this channel, just hit that subscribe down there. Hit that little bell too, so you'll be notified whenever we'll have a brand new video that'll come out. We'll do one every Friday at 11 a.m. And if you have comments, put it on the bottom. We'll make sure to put this Dr. Chan's website on there. You can get this COVID deal, our website. Dr. Chan has helped me. I'm finishing up a book. It'll be done July 15th. It'll be released then. And his publishing company has been very, very helpful with me. So, hey, thanks again. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to say?
Yes. I have read the preview copy of your book. It is crazy good.
Thank you.
Man, I cried through so much of it. I laughed through some crazy stuff you have done in your life. You have been, God has so transparent. It's so some things that you wrote in the book. I said, man, that took a lot of courage to say that. Because of your courage, we are better. And I can't wait for because I've read the book now. I can't wait for everyone to get their hands on that book. And can you tell us the title of the book and a little gist of what the book is about?
Yeah, you mentioned the lesson that people have learned during the crisis is you feel like that people have learned to basically invest in themselves. And the title of the book is called The Panic Room, because I went through about a 5 or 6 year. Honestly, I'm still involved in it. I'm still kind of navigating it, where I had panic attacks and high anxiety as a leader, and I couldn't just bow out. I just couldn't quit. And the book tells the story of how I ended up there, how I went through it, my wife's involvement, and then just a couple, there's not one answer to panic and anxiety, but I just shared some of my thoughts on what I think are good ways to try to deal with it and help with it. And just kind of like Paul, he had this thing that he had to deal with. And I've realized that those things that God allows in our life do one very important thing. It reveals God's grace over our life. And so for me, it just showed an area where I could lean on God's grace. And it's still present. So thank you. Thank you for reading it. Thank you for your input. Thank you for letting me write a little thing in your magazine, and thank you for helping me and introducing me to the right people. And I really hope it's going to help some folks. I really do. It's going to help them emotionally. There's just not much talk, especially in ministry, about mental health. And we need that conversation for sure.
Absolutely. And I think you have said so much already, even while you're interviewing me. You dropped in things that most people don't talk about. I can see so many leaders who are averse to even saying what you said maybe 10, 12 minutes ago. I am seeing a counselor. Well, you're not seeing a counselor because you're in trouble. You're seeing a counselor because you don't want to be in trouble.
Yeah, that's right. Well, my wife would say I am trouble. So I think
You have
that's a matter of opinion, Dr. Chan.
Pastor Penny is brilliant, right? So,
She's very brilliant.
so let's not end this conversation on a bad note.
No, she's a very brilliant woman. She's a very brilliant woman. So,
Yes,
hey,
yes.
thank you so much for your time, your energy. Thank you for what you do for God's kingdom. Thank you for what you do for leaders. And I love you. I appreciate you. And I hope you have, I hope the traveling kicks up and you come to Charlotte real soon.
I love to do that. Love you very much. Give my regards to your dear wife, please.
I will. Thank you guys for joining us. Real Talk with Pastor Troy. Today's been very special. Don't forget, subscribe, like, send it to your friends, connect with other leaders, and we'll see you real soon.